Okay, guys, so what do you know regarding PSU resources when it comes to people's mental health and especially stress management, our topic?
Well, I feel like I could speak on that a bit because in my earlier years at Plymouth State, I was lucky enough to have my sister on campus with me, and she's a very smart student, and she started working at the PASS office on campus, which is just a tutoring office that helps students with everything from like organization to very specific like course material with classes. And when they go through like the hiring process, they make sure that like you know what you're talking about with those specific classes, and they like pull those grades from those classes. But yeah, for me specifically, like going into the pass office and just like being in an environment where everyone's there to help you, definitely helped me in my like college experience, for sure.
Yeah, also PSU has like a counseling center, which I've been into, and it's free for any PSU student, and you can either schedule an appointment or they have a Let's Talk Deep in session, so it's just like a short talk with counselors, no appointment needed, but you can also go for 6 weeks at a designated time if you do need more time at the counseling center. It also just helps with, like, if you need someone quick to talk to and you don't know who to talk to, and good for stress management.
There's also TRIO, which is a program that not a lot of people know about, but TRIO is basically located near the PASS office, and there you can go literally for tutoring, for help, and they used to also have TRIO, like, nights where, like, every, like, Tuesday at, like, 6 p.m. we would meet, and, like, it was a good way to, like, introduce yourself and, like, get to know a lot of other people. Maybe you could meet somebody in your major and, like, they could help you. They even did, like, buddies and stuff like that. And it was usually, like, somebody, like, that would help you in your college life.
So I work at the OSAW office. It's one of the newest offices that was put into PSU campus. It stands for the Office of Student Advocacy and Well-Being. And what we do at OSAW is that we help anybody who's just either feeling alone or having some sort of mental health struggles or just feels stressed with school. They can come to us, and my boss Matthew will pair them up with a person that he thinks that would be a good match for them in terms of being able to talk to each other. But I am going to be interviewing my boss, so the next little section of our episode will be the interview between my boss Matthew and I. Alright everyone, I am here with Matthew. I'm currently in the Office of Student Advocacy and Well-Being, and I will be asking him some questions about our office. So Matthew, tell me about how this office came to be.
Hi Kai, thank you for having me on your podcast.
Of course.
So let me give you the quick nutshell version of how the office came to be. First, I was hired through a Department of Justice grant through the Community-Oriented Policing Department. And really I was hired to look at how to address mental health crises and then also how to prevent them. So really as I came into this role, I was looking pretty broad reach at that whole spectrum of how a crisis starts, and then how we intervene. And so I looked at what a lot of other institutions were doing, and I thought about how we might want to be on the cutting edge of this while still meeting the requirements of the grant. So I made a proposal to President Burks and Vice President Claybaugh and Provost Bowditch to start this new Office of Student Advocacy and Well-Being, really with the name of intervening, focusing on coordinated and campus-wide prevention work and then kind of integrated response, like compassionate response, and then really, if we can't prevent it, what's the compassionate crisis intervention with a mental health crisis look like? So I'm looking at that whole spectrum, and this office addresses the whole spectrum.
That's awesome. Yeah, this was the first time I ever really heard like how this office came to be,
Yeah.
so that was really cool to find out.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like it's kind of innovative. Like we're like the community, like the Department of Justice is actually really interested in what we're doing to see if it works, and we'll see. We'll see what the impact is.
Of course. All right, on to our next question. What kinds of services / programs are offered here?
Yeah. All right. Well, I can kind of run through them a little bit. And again, if we frame this within that spectrum that I just referred to, so like really thinking about where these items fit. So the first thing is coordinated and really integrated prevention work. So we're looking at everything from the moment a student enrolls at Plymouth State, what are we doing to prepare them well to be independent and autonomous students in college, to have the skills necessary to ward off mental health issues, and to have the skills necessary to be able to deal with bumps in the road as they come up. What are we doing to connect students to each other? Because one of the big things we deal with is loneliness and isolation and disconnectedness. So what are we doing to connect people to each other? And then how do we engage students in all of our programs? So that's like really the prevention work. Part of this work is an integral part of it is our PEMI Ambassadors program, which you are part of and know firsthand about. But really, that is again, it's on the kind of cutting edge of how universities are kind of coping with rising student social, emotional, mental health needs. Really knowing, looking at the data and knowing that students are far more likely to open up to each other and respond to each other than they are to like even licensed professionals. So the PEMI Ambassador Program, and PEMI is an acronym for Peer Educator Mentor Initiative. And the students in the program do everything from, they do the prevention work, so really targeting some of the highest risk behaviors and situations on campus, alcohol and drug harm reduction, suicide prevention, sexual violence prevention, like those are some of the things we're tackling. And then the other bucket is really like social connection, right? Like, and that's where the mentorship piece comes in. Pairing and matching students to mentors, especially if those students are feeling a little bit disconnected or having a hard time finding their people. And one thing I will say is that it's been really interesting to see how many students are actually interested in having a mentor. I sometimes when I'm presenting the idea of like, hey, would you like to meet with a stranger? My assumption is they're going to say like, no, I'm not interested. But it's amazing how many students actually say yes. And then the last piece is really the advocacy and support work. So this office is staffed by students from 11 to 5, weekdays, Monday through Friday. And that's really to help any student who walks through the door that's going through a rough patch or just having a bad day and needs someone to like either help them access resources or to walk them through how to navigate a challenge. So that's another one of the programs we offer. We do offer out of this office support and connection and empowerment groups, and those are peer facilitated groups to really help address some gaps in our programming. And again, they're peer facilitated very intentionally. They're non-clinical, but really an entry point into getting support with a shared life experience. That's something next year I'd love to amplify a little bit and do more of. And then lastly is like the compassionate response, right? So I oversee our CARE program now, which is CARE stands for Concern, Awareness, Referral, and Engagement. And that's when referrals for students who are struggling on campus for whatever reason get connected to me, and I help connect them to resources. And so that's part of the response.